I will say something though, that we put out a call to the arts community to give me a hand, and I was totally blown away by all the people that came. You know, how I envisioned it is exactly how it went, with marching band and flags right at the end. So that was good fun, and thanks to everyone in the community who came out. There were so many different groups that did it. I will tell you one thing though, the beatboxer, Peter Pott, is a Calgarian I didn't know before, but is a world-class beatboxer, and is in fact tomorrow going off to Germany for the World Beatboxing Championships. And I love learning about Calgarians who have these great skills and talents that I have no idea about. So it was great fun to see him, and we had everyone from the Calgary Children's Choir to the graduates of the Youth Singers of Calgary, a group called On Cue, and everything in between. So it was good fun.
Did you get a hold of the mayor and you considered it all said and done? What transpired after?
I haven't talked to him yet because I've been in council today, but I will tell you that Mayor Tate was remarkably gracious when he won the bet. And he actually said to me, you know, if you just want to sing a verse into your iPhone and send it to me, I'll consider the bet paid off. But I figured I might do something a little bigger than that.
How's the jersey feel? You've had it on for a few hours now?
It's purple. At least it's purple. And I'm pretty sure this guy has a cat. But other than that, all good. And I should say one other thing. This is another funny community thing. Is I put out a half-joking tweet saying, if I have to wear a Ducks jersey, I want to wear a purple one. Does anyone have one I can borrow? And the number of people who said, my brother has one, I'll get it shipped up here, I got to go to Red Deer and grab my cousin's for you, was amazing. And people were really willing to help out, or they just wanted to see me in the purple Mighty Ducks jersey.
How nervous were you before this started?
Terrified, absolutely panicked. It may surprise you, or maybe not, since we couldn't seem to get the lyrics right. It may surprise you to know there was not a lot of rehearsal. And, in fact, when I got here this morning, I was hoping to do one run through, and I got to my second of 3 solos when I suddenly realized I had to come in and bank the gavel. So it was a little play it by ear, but they did a terrific job. Now, could you guys hear? We didn't mic, and we probably should have mic'd because we figured they'd be so loud, the Cowtown Opera singers singing their verse. That was pretty awesome. And so it was fun, especially because that verse actually makes no sense at all.
Can I ask on cabinet?
What, an actual real topic? Okay, go.
Some people look at numbers. There are 3 ministers for Calgary, appointed for Calgary, and 6 appointed for Edmonton. Does that, in your view, harm Calgary's clout?
I'm not really fussed about it. You know, for me, the things that matter are transportation and infrastructure, and we have an urban transport minister, which, as you know, is quite rare. Rick McIver was from a city, but usually we don't have transport ministers from cities. And bluntly, we've got a transport minister who used to work for transit, so understands the needs of transit. So that's awesome. Our municipal affairs minister has been the municipal affairs critic since 2012. We know him very well. He knows the files very well. So he would have been my choice for that position if he were here to ask me. So I'm thrilled about that. And then, of course, we have a Minister of Finance, a Minister of Human Services, and a Minister of Justice and Solicitor General, all from Calgary. So when you look at my files and the things that I deal with, they're very well covered off. So I'm feeling quite good about it.
Minister of Finance has a...
I don't, because the negotiations are ongoing. I will point out that some of what we have heard on this issue only benchmarks other police services, and it's important to benchmark across the economy. And in particular here in the city of Calgary, I may have several different unions, but I've got nearly 20,000 colleagues, and I don't think it would be fair to treat one group of colleagues in this way differently than other groups. I certainly have not seen any evidence of that in recruiting.
Significant, do you think, this green line motion is?
Today's Green Line motion? I'm sorry to say not that significant. Councillor Keating made a very good argument when he said, you know, sometimes we get money for stuff that has to be shovel-ready, and let's move this towards shovel-ready. That's a legitimate thing to say. But we are many years from breaking ground on rail with the Green Line, whether or not money falls from the sky. So I'm happy to do the study. I'm happy to think about this, but remember that there were 2 reasons that we're starting with a busway. Number 1, money. You know, it's $5 billion. It would be the largest public works project in Calgary's history, depending on when the final bids come in, by a factor of 2 or 3. That's a little too high, but it's going to be a very large project. Number 2 is operationally, we realized that the busway, particularly on the southeast portion, would deliver something like 70% of the time savings of a full train for about 30% of the cost. And number three, operationally, we still have to get our heads around whether building the 40 kilometers at once will actually attract enough ridership to bring down the operating costs. Because remember, there's a six-figure or an eight-figure operating cost per year of this line as well. So you need riders in order to bring down that operating cost. So there's a lot of open questions. It's clear we need much better transit on the North Central line, and we need much better transit in the Southeast. The question is, what do we have the money for, and what is the right progression? Sure.
What, in your view, does a city councillor bring to the provincial?
Oh, great question. You know, I've said many, many times that the way that we do budgeting at the City of Calgary is so much better than the way other orders of government do it, in terms of bringing the public in terms of not springing surprises on people, in terms of having authentic dialogue, in terms of being incredibly transparent. And so if, I still want to call him Alderman CC, if Minister CC brings that kind of discipline and that kind of transparency to the provincial budget, I think that's a great thing. And to be blunt, here's a guy who has had to deal with every year a $3 billion operating, a $6 billion capital budget. That's extraordinary experience. There's very few people in the private sector who would have that kind of experience in budgeting, so it's a good thing.
And another question on CC, what does he bring to the file as his poverty order?
That's a question that I'm really going to explore with him once I get the chance to sit with him, because I am really, really interested if he will bring that to bear in terms of some really significant changes to the taxation system that would really help us manage poverty in a brand new way. And that really needs the Treasury Board and Finance and Human Services to work together.
Last question, folks.
Okay,
Like a negative income tax, maybe.
What do you think of Sean Chu's tweet comparing the Irish vote to the bike lanes in a relatively negative way?
Well, I'm not sure it really was meant to be relatively negative. It was, in my mind, incomprehensible. And I'm, of course, a guy who has gotten in trouble on Twitter many, many times, so far be it from me to cast stones. I do think, though, that with all of the analysis, all of the discussion that we've had about a newly elected MLA and her social media profile, it really is incumbent on all of us as public servants to be very careful in what we do. And that's not just councillors, it's public servants as well, you know, and I think even someone who works in Councillor Chu's office is now going to review all of his tweets, I understand, but certainly someone who works in his office has had his own problems with Twitter. So I think that all of us have to remember ultimately that we serve the public. It doesn't mean don't be authentic. It doesn't mean don't be feisty. It doesn't mean don't let things escalate, which I sometimes do. But it also means try to be respectful, understand the rules of engagement as you're engaging with somebody. If you're engaging with someone who's super feisty, you can have some fun with it. But a lot of people who are seeing that don't recognize that context. So if I were giving a social media seminar, I would say be authentic, be real, but try to be respectful.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.